Africa, one nation, touch one, touch one. Right. We want to welcome you to the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement Sunday Rally. Today's Sunday Rally theme is MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., and his anti-colonial connection to Africa. So every Sunday we are here from 3 to 5 p.m. We're located at 4101 West Florissant on the corner of West Florissant and Dallas. So if you're in the city of St. Louis, please stop by, especially those you who are online catching this in St. Louis, come on by. We'll be here from 3 to 5. And so this week's theme, of course, we know tomorrow is the celebration of MLK, Martin Luther King Day, all over the country. And in certain parts of the world, you'll have parades, activities, and even here tomorrow, there's an opportunity to do a service project. But we want to look at King and examine him a little bit differently today. So we get into that and highlight that a little bit more. So the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement does host these Sunday rallies every Sunday. And today the theme once again is Martin Luther King, or MLK, and his anti-colonial connection. You don't have that graphic up, but when we brought that graphic up, can you bring that graphic up again? So just a little aesthetic thing about this graphic. It was brought to our attention. I thought it was pretty cool. You see King is eyeing Africa. So symbolically, we can say that, but also we have the content to prove it. So we just thought that kind of was an added kick to it, and it came off pretty good. So, but before we go further with the program, we're going to do our African Nation fight song, and that is going to be on the screen. And for those who you online, you can follow along. Those in the Aquaba Hall, please stand up and sing along. The African Nation fight song.
Shout Uhuru for our freedom. We are Patrice Lumumba's life won't be in vain. We are winning. Keep up the work in Marcus Garvey's name. We are winning. Independent and free is what we will be. We are winning. Africa will bask in our victory. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom to organization. Socialist world, our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are
Easy too. Yeah, Africa. Touch what?
Touch all.
Touch what?
Touch all.
One Africa.
One nation.
One nation. Uhuru, that's what it's about. Uhuru, we want to thank you everyone once again for being in attendance to the Sunday rallies that are sponsored by the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, those virtually and those in attendance. Once again, to reiterate, our theme today is MLK and its anti-colonial connections to Africa. And we will get more into that and have further discussion. And we want to invite everybody to participate in. When it's time for question and answer, please feel free to come to my mic or our mic that's to the right. And for those of you online, if you're in the chat, you have a question or comment, let us know and we can look at that. But before we go further with the program, we have what we call political education that is brought to you from the Revolutionary National Democratic Program of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. That is the platform. There are 77 points there. And these are entitled Applied African Internationalism. And we're reading point 14. And for that, today we're going to have our comrade Fofi to come up and read that point for us. And we have a little discussion afterwards. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Two.
Yeah.
Africa. Uhuru. Ooh. Uhuru, comrade. The RNDP 14 point is we call on all existing African governments to demand protection for and to protect violations of the rights of African people living in European dominated countries around the world. I'll read that again. We call on all existing African governments to demand protection for and protect violations of the rights of African people living in European dominated countries around the world. Uhuru? Okay. So does that mean that I can go to Europe, any country, and be violated for just free speech? Or because I said something, I'm to be hurt because of my skin? Who's going to protect me? Who's going to protect you? For what reason would you need protection if you are a free body going somewhere other than home?
Gotta be a free body, no?
And you know what? You have to pay to even get home.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Africa home.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to sign papers. You have to have this license, and you have to put out an armful of money just to go home. But you mean I can't go somewhere else and be protected because I'm a human? So you know what? We're calling on all these government, African governments to protect us.
Yeah, right.
regardless to where we go, because you know what? We did not end up there on our own free will.
Yeah.
We were kidnapped.
Yes.
And taken there, away from our home. Our rights revoked, removed. Our families murdered, killed, and separated. But I have to go and have no protection anywhere I go? That's crazy. That's unacceptable for humanity and for African people.
Uhuru.
Anybody else got any ideas about that? I'm pissed off. I'm fired up.
Yeah, you should be fired up. Fist up. That's right. And I think that with this point too, it speaks to a lot of different things, but it is important. You mentioned the point that we got to pay to go to Africa, but we sure as hell didn't pay to come out of there with our lives.
Yeah.
And we don't have the right to travel. And it is also one of those things one of those contradictions that you see on the continent of Africa when you have all these borders that were developed by the Berlin Conference in 1884 and 1885, saying this is Namibia, saying this is Togoland, saying this is Botswana, et cetera, et cetera. And then being an African, I mean, this is my neighbor right here, and my neighbor just happens to be over this line. And that neighbor is my cousin's friend, and we all related. We can talk to each other. But if I step my foot just over that line in that country, somebody in that government that I just stepped into that country gonna come after me, blazing guns, saying you not no African. Basically, they're gonna tell me that. I mean, because we don't go with the names of being Namibians, being Ghanaians, or being Nigerians and things of that nature. They say you're not the right kind of African to be on this side of this line. What kind of mess is that? Uhuru.
Yeah, mess is exactly what it is.
That's being polite.
I unite. I know. You know, come on, comrade. Speak your piece.
Uhuru comrades. My name's Emmanuel. And okay. Oh, yeah. One of the things I really appreciate about point number 14 of the Revolutionary National Democratic Program, and that's the program of InPDUM. This is our program that we carry out people to support things like that, so that we can replace, the program of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Each of them we can't even see ourselves in, reflected in their, platform, things like that. But point number 14 is incredibly important because, anytime there's police brutality or violence and aggression by the state on our communities, like these National Guard troops that's been dispersed all around the African community. There should be Africans in Africa, raising up criticism to their government in terms of why aren't you, raising up any kind of criticisms, like in the UN or in any of these, other places about the treatment of African people here in the US and there in, England and all these various places where we've been forcibly dispersed. And so one of the things I appreciate coming out of Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa campaign, is that we saw that when the Uhuru movement was attacked, when the US front of the African Revolution was attacked, we saw Africans on the continent going to the embassies, going to the military bases, going into those communities and things like that, where our people are, and raising up these men there. And we saw Africans all over the world, do demonstrations and protests and everything like that. And so, it's incredibly significant. Africa for Africans, those at home and those abroad. And yeah, anyways, Uhuru.
One Africa.
One nation.
One nation.
One Africa. Okay, comrades. I think any more questions? You got any questions online? We taking them all. Bring it on. We got you. Any more conversation in the room? Okay. All right. You go ahead. Go ahead.
One thing I completely forgot about there's this military installation that's been developing. It's called the NGA,
Yeah.
National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. That agency is a spy agency. Is responsible for finding out which locations to bomb, where people are, so that they can be kidnapped. You know, at the dead of night and things like that, like what we've seen from this recent past in terms of Venezuela. But also the various coup attempts that's happening right now in Africa. And so, you know, it's incredibly important to make sure that we recognize the international character, you know, that we have and things like that, as well as the responsibility. And so, yeah, just you know, just even more reason why you know, anywhere African people are, when Africans are intact, we have to raise up our voice as one people.
Uhuru, yes. Okay, comrades, I want to thank each and every one of you for your input on our RNPD number 14, DP. Yeah, for number 14. And I'm gonna read it again to close us out, so others can think about it.
Make it plain.
We call on all existing African governments, all 2 of you, to demand protection for and protest violations of the rights of African people living in your European dominated countries around the world. You want us to work, but you don't want to protect us. You want to use us, but you know what? We ain't having that no more. Fist up,
Fight back!
fist up,
Fight back!
Uhuru. Now I do believe it's time for culture.
Yes. On the program.
On the program, it's time for culture. And since my name is next to it, you got here a little late, comrade. I was gonna call on you. Like I said, I'm pissed off and I'm fired up. So with that, I'm gonna do something that's right here, right now, that's on my mind. If I invited you into my house, I would expect you to act like a visitor. You would respect my rules and regulations, and we would coincide and cohabitate. But if you come into my house uninvited, not wanting to change the rules of my house, it is too small for both of us. Somebody's got to go, and since it's mine, that means you. You are not going to come in here and rule my electricity, my gas, my running water. You're not going to come and ruin my favorite TV shows in my favorite spot. How I wash my clothes, wash my dishes, and clean my floor is my business. Because my name is on my stuff. The bills come in my name, not yours. The United States is a bully. United States is a bully that profit off of other countries that they claim are not doing correct with their people when they don't do correct with the people right here at home. If I'm taking care of my family, then that's what I would expect to say something. But I am back and let you come into my house and rule anything that's in my name. You heard that? I am not going to do that. So you know what? We're going to fist up, fist up, fist up, ease way lay too. E Africa, Uhuru, Uhuru. Yes. There's always room. Uhuru.
All right, appreciate that. Thank you, Conrad Fofi, for the reading of the RNDP, the Revolutionary National Democratic Program of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. Appreciate that. We and also for doing that little culture. Right now, we're gonna have a little outreach report. Now, pardon me, not little. We're gonna have a report on outreach, and Fofi, you might even bounce back up again. But Conrad Lucaday, go ahead and lead us with this outreach report, please. That's the applied African internationalism.
All right, Uhuru comrades, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, right on. Okay, well, our slogan for self-determination is self-determination is the highest expression of democracy in recognition of the constant unceasing attacks and abrogation on the national democratic rights of African people. This institution has to be and is defended by we the people ourselves. Chairman Amalius Chella and the Uhuru movement is intent on ingraining into African people to take hold of their responsibility of building a real capacity for African people, never to be ruled under colonialism ever again. The task of building institutions of real capacity of African people must never cease and always be prevalent. So every time that we do outreach, it's an assault on the ability of this government to silence Black people. Every time we do outreach. And this is part of the process as well of liberating democratic spaces that people can use to organize themselves. And so we can do that wherever we're located. If you're here on West Florissant or somewhere else, you can always do outreach. And so this week, we had distributed. Okay. There was we had distributed 100 flyers on Monday. This is for the MLK Day event, as well as 2 posters. And the MLK Day event going on tomorrow is a big event. So it's as well as a volunteer fair where our communities can contribute furthermore, their talents and skills to build institutions like these, the community gardens, and others, that you'll hear about. On Tuesday, we had distributed 52 flyers, and as well as 6 posters. For the first part of that day, the second part of that day, we had put up 29 posters here on West Florissant, and as well as distributed 27 more flyers. Fofi had also done some outreach that day that she'll talk about, and Gregory had also been given some material, and if you want, feel free to say how things went. That'd be cool. But at the moment, we don't have any the MLK Day flyers. Well, I don't have any on hand. But all right. And okay. That was the initial report.
A week or so ago, I was invited to be a judge at one of the poetry slams here in St. Louis. And I asked Comrade Lucaday to drop some flyers off so I could flood the room. It was not my event, but it was an event that I am in with the community, because we were taught to be in InPDUM and is taught to be in everywhere African people are, and to bring the news to what we're doing here so everybody know that they can come here and get educated on doing outreach, on being part of their own liberation, regardless to what field they're in. So at the event, it wasn't a regular poetry event, so you don't really walk around and talk to people a lot until intermission or at the end when everybody's about gone. So the MC said that he would pass out the flyers if I gave them to him. So I gave them to him and he gave out 30 flyers, 30 of the 50. I gave out 8 at my job, and I sent 16 flyers on my text message to people that I wanted to share the MLK event with, so they can know what InPDUM has other than what they see with their eyes. They can come in and investigate it. So that, and I still have 5 flyers left. I'm sorry I didn't bring them, but Uhuru.
This is somebody's got a video up there. What is that?
That's the video. I just did a scan of the room because I couldn't sit there and take pictures of everybody. So that was the room that got the flyers. Uhuru.
What was that at again?
It was at I forgot the name of it. It was in Old St. Louis, across not far 2 blocks from Crown Inn.
Oh,
Yes, sir. We had an opportunity to also pass out flyers at Next Time Cafe on West Florissant, Gama. Event that one of our colleagues, Rick Connors with Sabaye has put together. It's a regular thing now. I like to think of that as being similar to our little Comrade Nobles, being a seed. Keep putting out these seeds and slowly they're going to grow. But we had a chance to pass out 35 flyers there. We also picked up a potential vendor for the upcoming farmers market, and we'll pass that on to the appropriate folks soon. At Uhuru. Yeah.
I am not the one who put up the posters, but I do know that Solidarity Center, or the Uhuru Solidarity Movement put up flyers, in and around the community, as well as contacting, mobily, 50 of our local members and people in our contacts. So that's what we got.
Uhuru, I appreciate that, and just all the outreach that the comrades have been doing, and winning folks on over to. We do need your help in terms of doing outreach, and this could be as simple as letting folks at at the job site, what we call the plantation. No, yeah, that's what it is. We call it the plantation. Letting folks at the plantation know, that these things are going on, or your neighborhood, your neighbors, right next door, or the local store that you visit. Let these folks know. And so you'll see some additional outreach material in the back. Take some with you, and I'll also be available if you want to speak afterwards. On how you can help get the word out as well. Because this is your home. It's your second home. And we need we continue the work of revitalizing not only the north side, but we want to revitalize all St. Louis, because they've done a lot of things to us. Or
One Africa, one nation, these relate to Africa. Thank you. Appreciate that outreach report, and I think it's always good for us to see what the movement is doing in terms of applied African internationalism and doing work on the ground. And as Comrade Fofi said, it is our job to occupy as much of this space as we can. And when we find ourselves in that space, then we can find ourselves in a winning space, because we can win everybody there. We got to go in there with that attitude. And the other thing is, I was doing a little outreach phone banking yesterday, and I did hear about Comrade Greg and another comrade, Makeda, was at a particular event. And so just to say that the forces that we got are doing so much work on so many levels that people recognize it, even when we come to call them and say, hey, okay, yeah, I know you guys, boy was over there with old girl the other day, type of deal. And so it's just good to see that that's how you apply African internationalism. You got to get out there and just do the work. And if I could say the old slogan, just do it, just do it. Just get out there and do the work. So Uhuru, we want to appreciate that. So, today's going back to what our theme is. And today the theme is MLK and his anti-colonial connections to Africa. And so we think it's very important that we make this clear where King was and what King was really about. Because we know that the culture in the United States, we know that the propaganda in the United States, the educational system have given us King, and they're giving him to us on a silver platter. He won a Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, he did. He gave this famous speech, I Have a Dream. Yes, he did. And he was more involved in the civil rights movement. And yes, he was. And he did those things. But they pigeonhole King to let you know so that you won't know how King's life really was. And so that you won't even see the evolution of his life. And even if you think that you see the evolution of his life, you may not be quite on point, because earlier in the days, he told his wife, well, his girlfriend at the time, Coretta Scott, and it was documented in a book. And this was before the Montgomery boycott in 55. He wasn't even in the movement then when he was dating Coretta. So this was around 52, I want to say. He told her, I am more socialist than I am capitalist. How many knew that? Okay, that's because his history has been whitewashed like so many of our people's history. So we're coming here today and we want to make it clear, and we want to show at least the connection with King and the anti-colonial movement that was not what's going on the continent of Africa, but in addition to how he felt about the worldwide struggle at that particular time. So I'll be reading something that's from his own words. And this is dated, and bear with me if you need to, if you can. This is dated from 1959. Now, catch the theme. This was a theme, African Freedom Dinner in honor of anti-colonial leader Tom Mboya. So Tom Mboya, he was a Kenyan nationalist, okay? So let me go ahead and start reading some of this for you right quick. King delivered remarks before the keynote address of Kenyan nationalist leader Tom Mboya, who was nearing the end of a 5-week tour in the United States. Our struggle is not an isolated struggle. King insisted this. This is what Dr. King said. So when he said our struggle isn't isolated, what does that mean? Of course, the International People's Democratic Uhuru movement, our struggles are not isolated. Uhuru, now, we're going to bring it up to King, but trip off what King is saying now. And this is in 1959. And most of this stuff about King probably isn't known by the mainstream. So we're going to read further on in this particular address. We are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. Mboya defended Kenya's policy of non-alignment, chided the West for spending too much money on defense, and accused the developed nations of failing to understand the needs of Africa. When we are talking about how best to preserve human life, you are talking about how to project the first person in space. That's a question. So how it reads, oh, you got it up there. That's pretty cool. Let me know next time. But anyway, so at the time, they talking about putting a man on the moon, and putting a man on the moon don't amount to a hill of beans for the man in the hole in the ground. You understand? That don't mean nothing to him. That don't mean nothing to her. So just to say he was wasteful, the government has always been wasteful. But the other thing is to take this into consideration. One of the things that Chairman reminds us of a lot of time is that the trend in the 60s and the 50s was what? That was an anti-colonial trend. The trend was everybody was on fire and everybody was looking at revolution. Revolution was all around the world. King is in observation of this. King actually participates in this on his level, and we don't probably understand that or recognize that. So let's see. We're going to go on, and we want to have some great discussion about this. These two languages are essentially different. That's talking about putting somebody on the moon. And consequently, sometimes it is difficult for some people to understand our very simple aspirations or very simple demands, our very simple human needs. And this is this is just as a transcript. This is still written in there, could have been edited out. But I'm gonna jump down to say, we invited Mr. Mboya to Atlanta and to the South. That is very obvious. As you well know, there is a great revolution going on all over the world. Now, here's the Right Reverend said it's a great revolution going on all around the world. Pay attention to that. And we think of the fact that just 30 or 40 years ago, there were only 2 countries in Africa that had independence at that particular time. And then he goes on and talks about them. They were at that time Libya and Ethiopia. And today, 8 countries have been added to that number. And in 1964, more will be added: Somalia, Togoland, and Cameroon, and the largest country in Africa, Nigeria. So he's talking about Africa throughout all of this, is he not? Okay. This reveals that an old order is passing away, and our great speaker is one of the great leaders in the struggle for freedom and independence. Now, what do you suppose he means by this reveals that an old order is passing away? The whole something new is to come. Maybe he's talking about revolution. Yes, he was. And in the real sense, what we are trying to do in the South and in the United States is a part of the worldwide struggle for freedom and human dignity. Our struggle is not an isolated struggle. Once again, talking about we all in this thing together. It's not isolated. This is not an isolated struggle. It is not a detached struggle, but it is part of the worldwide revolution for freedom and justice. So once again, the trend in the world at that time was what? Worldwide revolution, was it not?
Yes.
So we understand what point or what side King was on, right? Or do we? We should make sure that we get clear on that if we're not. All right. So, and whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. That sounds like touch one, touch all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are concerned about what is happening in Africa and what is happening in Asia because we are part of the whole movement. And we want Mr. Mboya to know, as he prepares to go back to Africa, that we go back with him in spirit and with our moral support and even with our financial support. You hear me? Certainly, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I mean, y'all know that quote and heard it before. You see where it's coming from, right? So in the context of what he's talking about, a threat to justice everywhere, he's talking about it in context of the worldwide revolution. He's talking about it in context to Africa. He's talking about it in context to Asia. And he's saying that these places are in threat. Everywhere that there's a threat, there is a threat to us all. Touch one, touch all. That's what King was saying. So, certainly injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so long as problems exist in Africa or in Asia or in any section of the United States, we must be concerned about that. Sounds a little like African internationalism in some of this, don't it? I think you should get the point. And through our Southern Christian Leadership Conference, we are trying to implement the Supreme Court's decision on the local level through nonviolent means. That's his right. That's what he was on. That's his shtick. This is a big job. It is not an easy job. It will call for sacrifice and even some suffering. It will call for hard work. it will call for dedicated leaders. This organization came into being to serve as a channel through which the Negro leaders of the South could coordinate their local protest actions. Coordinate local protest actions. And we hope to work together and to stick together until this problem is solved. What problem is he talking about? How many years it will take, we don't know. Predictions are very difficult to make. Of course, he was saying that. That's true. But I am sure that we are committed to the ideal of achieving first-class citizenship all over America and all over America in general, and in the South in particular. And we are deeply grateful to our guest speaker for coming here this evening, and I am sure that he will be a great inspiration to us all. Now, I'm gonna jump down a little bit in this, and it picks up and it says, and that we will go away with a new concern for Africa and Asia and all of the oppressed peoples over the world as they struggle to realize the dream of brotherhood and man's love for all men. So what is King saying, really? You know, he's not pigeonholed into just civil rights. He's not pigeonholed into just having some type of protest or some type of march, or even just giving a message and, oh, I just have a dream. You know, that ain't just what King is about. And we're talking about this King in 1959. You take it back maybe just a couple of years. In 1957, we know one of the inspirational moments of his life was attending the independence celebration in Ghana in 1957. And we're going to share just a little bit of that, and we'll be through with this particular portion of the presentation. We can go a little bit further and have some collective discussion about this as needed. But this portion of the interview is from Ghana. The interviewee was Etta Martin Barnett. And these are, I just took the words of King and what he was saying, and just pay attention to what King is saying at this particular time, as he is on the continent of Africa for the first time on a day of independence. I mean, that's a great first visit if you think about it. First time you go to the African continent on the motherland, you're going to celebrate independence. That's pretty powerful in itself. I think this event, the birth of this new nation, will give impetus to oppressed peoples all over the world. I think it will have worldwide implications and repercussions, not only for Asia and Africa, but also for America. As you well know, we have a problem in the Southland in America. And I think this freedom in the birth of a new nation will influence the situation there. He's saying that he's seeing that Ghana is going to influence the freedom struggle in the United States and in the South. So once again, you can see the connection. You can see using the anti-colonial activity, the struggle that was going on the continent of Africa becomes further inspiration. And of course, one other note about this. Now, the Ghanaian revolution, as it was back in the day, you know, that was more or less a non-violent revolution. It wasn't so bloody. There was some blood shed. But that aspect of nonviolence for the liberation struggle of African people in the United States is what was part of King's political maturity, more so than they talk about Gandhi. They talk about Gandhi. We got issues with him, but they talk about him. But this was a study that King was doing of the revolutionary study in Ghana that didn't necessarily get its independence at the end of a bayonet, so to speak. So let's see. This will become sort of a symbol for oppressed people all over the world. Now, Ghana will become a symbol of hope for hundreds of thousands of oppressed people all over the world, Africa and Asia, and also oppressed peoples in other sections of the world. And then the question is asked by the reporter Burnett. As they struggle for freedom, the anti-colonial political parties and workers' unions had a profound impact on King. King examined the world and took the side of peasants and working class. He started to view revolutionary struggles around the world and and that the U.S. imperialism. So, pardon me for that. So the point there is that through his struggles, through his political education, while he was studying what was going on in Africa and Asia, and it's quite clear that it's referenced Africa and Asia. So Africa and Asia were really like the hotbed kind of continent area during that particular time. Although there was a lot of struggle going on in South America and Central America and things of that nature, and even in Russia. But at these particular times, you had the particular African continent and the particular continent of Asia, especially the subcontinent, India, and things of that nature, who were fighting a fierce anti-colonial struggle. So that was part of the trend, and that was part of the education. That was part of the geopolitical study and geopolitical understanding at the time. Of course, King was picking up on this at this time all along. So, pardon the mistake with the edit. So now this last piece right here, this is one of the pieces that some people know about, they don't. So this is coming from 1967. It's often called short and abbreviated Time to Break the Silence, Beyond Vietnam. This was delivered at Riverside Church in New York, April 4th, 1967, a year before he was assassinated. And this is just an excerpt of that particular speech. It's a rather long speech, and if you can check it out online, I advise everybody to read it maybe a couple of times. So we're quoting from what King said in that speech. Over the past 2 years, as I have moved to break the betrayal of my own silences and to speak from the burning of my own heart, as I have called for radical departures from the destruction of Vietnam, many people, he said many persons have questioned me about the wisdom of my path. At the heart of their concerns, this inquiry have often loomed large and loud. Why are you speaking about war, Dr. King? Why are you joining the voices of dissent? Peace and civil rights don't mix, they say. Aren't you hurting the cause of your people? They ask. And when I heard them, though I often understand the source of their concern, I am nevertheless greatly saddened, for such questions mean that the inquiries have not really known me, my commitment, or my calling. Indeed, their questions suggest that they do not know the world in which they live. That's pretty profound, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's really deep if you really look at it, and you got to break it down. So I just wanted, thank you. Just wanted to read some of that, and we're going to definitely have a little bit of discussion about that a little bit further. But I do want us to make sure that we make the point and connect King to some degree. Even though King was at a different time, you can see some African internationalism in what he was saying at that time and how he was viewing the world and what question he was truly on. It was all about strategies and tactics. And a lot of people like to say that he was just this nonviolent person, and that may be true to a degree. But the other thing about King that some people may know, he did have bodyguards, even though if he didn't want to pick up a gun, the people in his immediate circle weren't going to allow him not to be protected as much as they could. So, sometimes, things happen, but yeah, there were guns around. But he wasn't the one to do that. But with this last point, it's clear that when he says that I am nevertheless saddened, for such questions mean that the inquiries have not clearly known me, my commitment, or my calling. And I think that's really what's happened with King today. People don't know King like they think they know King. I mean, we got a national holiday, and we're going to have some activity for him, and that's right. But, and I know the chairman talks about King as being a volunteer and things of that nature. But to really understand King and take him deeper, you need to have an anti-colonial struggle, a stance. You need to be on the right question of the worldwide revolution. And you need to know what's the difference. And as he told his girlfriend, Coretta, at the time, I am more a socialist than I am a capitalist. So we need to be on that point and know that. So I just wanted to have a little discussion about that and bring that point up. And I know that we do have some time to go further. So I want to open it up. Anybody online, if you got anything that you would like to say or add to it, please put it in the chat. We try to monitor those things and we try to catch those comments. And matter of fact, let us know where you're calling in from. I mean, viewing in from while you're online. Tell us your thoughts about King. And I want to open it up to the comrades in the room. Let's have a little bit more discussion. Let's get to know King a little bit better. Y'all want to get to know King a little bit better, don't you? Be like King.
Right.
And how will you be like King?
Uhuru,
Uhuru.
I just got a very interesting text. You sent a YouTube video too, which I'm hoping we have the opportunity possibly to be able to share. It's from the vice chair of the Black Lives Matter Coalition for Social Justice, Peace and Reparation. And she says, Uhuru and greetings, everyone. As we are coming up on MLK Day, we need to know that King said in 1967 that his dream had become a nightmare.
That's true.
What would he be saying today? And I think that is, that's really relevant. I appreciate the pieces that you read because what the ruling class has attempted to do is simply make King this passive, passive, non-violent. He just wanted to get along with everybody, and that's not who he was. First of all, he was an African living in captivity, just like every other African in the world. And certainly at the time, with revolution being the main trend, it was absolutely necessary for him to be conscious and cognizant of who he was as an African. And also having lived long enough to have witnessed all of the atrocities. The chairman helped us really to understand, certainly for those of us that were only born like in 1960 and were just children. Our parents were experiencing just coming out of sharecropping, that their parents had lived through. I had the pleasure of knowing my great grandmother, and I have to know that she wasn't born into quote unquote freedom. And my grandmother was not either. So King had experienced all of that, and like it's been said and recognized that revolution was the main trend in the world. So he had to, it doesn't even make sense that he was just this guy that just said, can't we all just get along?
Yeah, right.
Way before Rodney King ever said it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that he was not experiencing and had not experienced the same type of oppression that Africans all over the world, as well as other oppressed nations were experiencing. So I appreciate really opening this up and really raising the question that Vice Chair of the Black Lives Matter Coalition raised about, what would he say today? Because if his dream had become a nightmare, this is like one of the most horrific horror stories you could ever, envision, in your life.
Uhuru, right on. Appreciate that. Yeah, I think he would be on board with, he would probably follow suit with where he left off in 67, like what the comrade just mentioned and we just read. Because in that speech, he was really opposing all the imperialist aggression that was going on in the world. And just like this imperialist aggression that happened against Venezuela most recently, I'm sure it's obvious, even if you look at and the same day that happened, of course, they tried to plot a coup in Burkina Faso, and they tried to kill Ibrahim Traore, but that was failed. So I'm sure he would have been against that as well. So he would have been against what did he say? A threat to justice everywhere is a threat to justice anywhere. So he was very consistent. And so if he said it then, he would say it now throughout his life. He did not waver in his particular deep philosophical positions, I would say. Yes. Oh, well.
Being both of y'all here fighting over who's gonna go last. Those people fight who get to go first. You know, who get to go last. I'm gonna start by quoting a very famous person that none of you know, but they're still famous, and that's my mother.
Right on.
Coming up, I thought that I was the revolutionary, and I didn't understand that my mother had experiences that I had no insight into. And I remember saying one time, and it still puzzled me, she said, Jesus is a reoccurring event. Now, when she said that, she meant the struggles or tribulations that are cited that Jesus went through in the Bible. But she cited one of those people as being king, how he's a reoccurring event. And I want to even compare that to our chairman, because being a revolutionary standing up against injustice is a reoccurring event that keeps continually happening. We don't just accept our conditions, whatever they are, whatever population we're talking about. So that was one thing. I also understood that I didn't understand my mother in the sense until I took her to the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis, where I got to witness her experiences of traveling through that. Now, I have no clue what it looks like or impression what it looks like to see a for white only sign. So to me, I grew up being a revolutionary without that experience, okay? But when I saw her cringe and the pain that she went through as we went through different parts of the museum and she saw the bus burning and all of that kind of stuff, it really impressed me that I had no understanding of what she experienced, and I was judging her for something that I didn't know about and how that impacted her life. I also want to go a little bit further and ask you all if you have not seen the movie Origins. King was labeled an untouchable, and I know on the surface level, some of us know that an untouchable is the lowest class of society. The woman that wrote this book, she talked about how race was not an issue. It was class that was an issue. And in that, she goes down and she does her soliloquy and even goes to different parts of the world and exposes how she believes that it's classism, especially when they do the part of this movie where they go to India. And it's impressive, the trauma and degradation and all of that they experience. But when King went to speak in India, he was invited there. One person who wasn't untouchable, but he was actually a professor, which he was a high level, I guess you call untouchable. But anyway, when he introduced King, he said, I want to introduce you to a fellow untouchable. And King was offended. But then he thought about that. He says, we have the same status in the world. So he understood the universality of that analogy at the time. Also, King evolved. And even though he and Malcolm appeared to be different, they ended up in the same place. Malcolm went to Mecca, and he saw the humanity in the people there, not their white skin. He saw the humanity in the black people. I mean, the white people with blue eyes. So he had evolved upon from this concept of race only. And that keeps us so marginalized that we can't see the humanity in each other. But it's planned like that, and it's been planned like that. That's how we got colorism, and we have it throughout the world. It's the same concept in my mind. And that's really all I wanted to share. So,
Uhuru. Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
Conrad, when the King said, what would King think now? First thing hit me in the head is that we're still in the fungus among us. colonialism is still infused in our neighborhood, in our community, in our lives. Okay, that's better.
I should have did that. I needed that too.
Anyway, and then when my comrade before me was talking about her mother, I don't know what the reason was. I think it's because I grew up in the country, southeast Missouri, from birth till 12. At about 7 years old, everything I did was around our people, so it was no big deal. Okay. And I really was dumb to the difference in color because I was around my people. I saw on TV, but I didn't see people. I didn't see white people on TV. I mean, black people on TV, except Julia,
Okay.
who was a nurse
Mhm.
with a son.
Mhm.
Okay, so she was cool. The people that lived across the road from where my grandfather cause my grandfather had 6 sons.
Yeah.
He was valuable because his sons could work the land.
Yeah.
And he had 2 daughters. So he was like, he's who they call for different things. Across the road was a house where it was a old white woman and her husband who had grown children and that didn't live around there. Well, one summer her granddaughter came to visit, and they came across to ask my grandmother if I could come and play with their little granddaughter, Mary. I think Mary was maybe a year older than myself. She was always taller because I was always a little girl, short. They let me be around Mary for like 3 days.
Hmm.
And on that 4th day, Mary came over to ask, and my grandmother said, well, she's busy today. Nothing ever happened. I'll just like I do now, I just watch people, and I watched Mary just be ready. She she was happy to be in the country, and you want to make this and you want to make mud pies, and I said, I don't make mud pies. So she kind of looked at me strange and said, okay, well, can I make some? I said, sure, it's your mud, you make what you want. But I think my grandmothers and my mother, they thought that I needed to be around Mary to see if I had any thoughts, or if it would change my attitude, or if kids mimic other kids. But I didn't, because Mary was white and I wasn't. And I just let Mary be Mary. And if she ever tried to change something on me, I tell her, no, I'm not doing that. So I never figured out what their analogy was for letting me go across the street and play with Mary. But I had a time to be back, and I didn't eat anything there. It was right across the street, so I just went back home. But in all essence, I found out something about myself. I was happy and free when I went to visit my other black friends. But when I was around Mary at her house, at her grandmother's house, I was a stranger in another place. And I knew I couldn't be free, even at the age of 6 or 7, because I went to school, all black schools, all my life, because I went to Sumner High School. We were taught through the church that King was a peaceful man. He was a black Jesus that only wanted to do good with everybody as kids. So if you ask a child at a Sunday event to what would King do, they would do only the good things in life. When in reality, he was a revolutionary in his own sense and the work that he did, but nobody showed, like you said. And Uhuru, I unite with, look at the real man and be like King. Uhuru.
Uhuru. I want to entertain a couple of online point or issues. So this particular information comes from letters, the letters of King. It's in the Stanford file. It's in the Stanford website. But if you just do keyword search, look up the letters of King or Dr. King letters, you'll find it, and it can take you that way. Want to appreciate that, and thanks for those who thought it was pretty cool. And one comment, thank you for this comment. Coretta radicalized Martin, very smart woman. All right, Uhuru to that. African women must lead. And there's a question. MLK was against injustice. That's great. And then they say, however, what was King's concept of a just society? What was King's concept of a just society? And will the passing of laws in Turtle Island make it a just society? I'll let you go ahead and ask your question.
Uhuru, thank you. Yeah, I want to express my appreciation to the reading and also to everyone who spoke, and you know, as well as the questions online and things like that. I do unite with I forgot, it was something that I think they said a bit earlier. But it's real important to note that, you know, we're materialists. And not everyone is a materialist. But by that I mean that, you know, that if you want to, you know, find out, you know, what the real conditions are, you know, you don't necessarily go to a book or whatever. You know, you observe the world, the real world as it is. And so that's real significant. It's also important to note that that we live within a colonial system. This current system that we live in came out of the attack on Africa, the assault on Africa some 600 years ago, that would disperse us and enslave us through the far corners of the world. And so removing, you know, Africa's most important resource, which is Africans, we ourselves.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You know, to develop and labor and things like that for the development of Europe and you know, colonial society as a whole. And so the colonial question is real significant. Dr. King had recognized, or you know, was beginning to recognize the significance of the colonial question. That was his, you know, part of that influence was also his trip to Ghana. That's incredible. The first trip that you have to Africa, is when when African people are gaining independence and things like that. Like that's whoa, whoa, especially coming out the U.S. South,
Right.
You know, and things like that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Imagine. You know how that influenced, and King wasn't the only one. A lot of civil rights movement folk, you know, was there in Ghana during Ghana's Independence Day, and they came back and they were fired up. They were fired up. Let's do some more stuff. You know, yeah, and that's real important. But it's also real important to say that Dr. King was always in a process of political development.
Yeah.
He was learning. So he wasn't right at first. You know, or second or third, and things like that. It was really the anti-colonial revolution that was going on all throughout the world that educated him, that educated Africans, you know, throughout the world and things like that, who were engaged in this process of winning, you know, independence, you know, for ourselves and things like that, including right here in the U.S. And so that was something that was always driving the struggles that was happening everywhere. And it was also important to note that it wasn't always, you know, the what they're called like nonviolent, you know, or quote unquote civil rights leaders and things like that who were leading the struggle. Eventually, it was the working class Africans, the sharecroppers, those who you know, work day jobs and things like that. They became the central force to define what the struggle is, what it means to have success in this, you know, in this revolutionary struggle that we're engaged in, and to give a definition to the African Revolution. And that was something that King was over to, did not lead that. Malcolm X was persons here in the US who was leading that, always criticizing, the liberal, white ruling class, but as well as King and other, African petty bourgeois folk, who was, saying that, no, we must integrate and all these things, I mean, this is the same, colonizers that we live among, on a daily basis, who assault us on every day, who, abrogate our national democratic rights. And it's important to say that we live in the United States of America. This is a settler colony. This is the largest settler colony in the entire world. And Africans live as a domestic colony, an internal colony within a settler colony. So other colonial situations, you have the colony is like across the sea or stuff like that, and then you have the mother colony, England, France, and all these things. And it's you can see, okay, the resources are being extracted, and they're going to develop in France and in England and Italy and all these places. But here, it's important to recognize that the reason why the North Side is like this, and African communities are like this, is because all the development, all of our labor are going to develop white communities in South St. Louis and in colonizing communities. And so the colonial questions is important because without that, the struggle for what's called justice and things like that, or peace, is peace on the plantation. Peace that the colonizers define what peace is, instead of what we ourselves define what peace is, and that's peace with social justice, with all the rights that are that are rightfully ours and things like that. And lastly, when King had recognized this, he was saying he switched his position. He'd say that he was integrating his people. He fears that he was integrating his people into a burning house.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a burning house.
Yeah.
And so he was moving away from this integrationism, from the influence of the liberal white ruling class, who had funded much of this whole thing about non-violence and things like that. Because they weren't about a fun, movement that would, get Africans to get movies and Saturday night specials and things like that. They weren't about to do that. But Malcolm X said, if you have the Second Amendment right, to own a shotgun in your household, you should, because the Klans out there and all these things that are, happening in us, and we can't allow that to happen. African people have a right to defend ourselves. We must defend ourselves. And Dr. King grew conscious more and more about this colonial question. The colonial question is the primary contradiction, the central contradiction, the principal contradiction in the world today, where the value, the wealth, resources, the labor, the technology, the human, intelligence and things like that. These all go towards the production and reproduction of the life of European life. Bourgeois life, the life of the colonizer, instead of we ourselves. And so that's real important to recognize. And state power. At the beginning, the initial March on Washington was something that was effectively neutralized. And where he gave his 1964 I Have a Dream speech and things like that, which was one of his most mediocre, if not worst speeches that he's ever given. And you can see at what he was speaking about later on, things like that, as he was developing. But he was coming in with a real demand for real things, jobs, and all these things, and bring African working class folk, into Washington D.C. One of the things that and lastly, and I'm gonna move on. Was the FBI had developed COINTELPRO. This is the counterintelligence program, which is one of its feature counterinsurgency tactics and things that was used to crush Black Revolution in the 1960s. And one of the things that it had quoted in its points is that if Dr. King had turned his back away from white liberals and all these different forces, and supported, the legitimate and independent democratic expressions coming out from African working class folk and African communities, you know, that would be a signal thing, in terms of, you know, his, you know, being removed, his assassination. He was, you know, but Dr. King was always fighting, and, I think he was, won over to the, you know, point of question. And I think if he were alive today, it may be a possibility, it should be a possibility. He would have joined the Uhuru movement.
Yeah.
He would have joined he would have been right here with us, you know? The Uhuru movement, comes out of the struggle of the 1960s, and engaged in this effort, to complete Black Revolution in 1960. And to end the mass demoralization of our people. And so all these economic development institutions that you see and institutions and programs, we have an incredible plenary that's coming up in just a few months. And I just invite you all to be in attendance. But there will be a volunteer fair and an MLK Day event going on tomorrow. So I hope to see everyone there.
And I want to give it up and recognize that's coming from the president of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, the international president, Comrade Luca De Maku. So I appreciate that. And we appreciate that. And you kind of answered the question, but you know, it's a conjecture. So to try to address the question, yeah, I agree with what Comrade Maku said. Yeah. If King was live, he would probably be a member of Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa. He might be, he could have been, you know, maybe the leader of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. You know, probably so. He could have probably been, he probably would have been an editor with the Burning Spear newspaper. You know, and to answer the question about the justice, what kind of society, you know, he would have wanted a just society. Of course, that's what he was talking about. And anytime you say that you're more socialist than you are more capitalist, that means something. That means that you're trying to break down and you about breaking down the disparity between the haves and the have-nots and to equalize that. That's what he told his girlfriend back in the day. And you can see that's what his work was about. And you talk about, he knew that I started this off with saying, our struggle is not an isolated struggle. King insisted.
Yeah.
King talked about the worldwide revolution. King talked about us linking up with the worldwide revolution. He talked to us about being one people, one Africa, one nation. That was essential what that was all about, even in our solidarity support with Asia. And the question also talked about the laws of the land on how they put it, like I think they mean Turtle Island. I think that might have been the symbol. But nevertheless, talking about the laws of the United States, of course, you know, he fought for laws to be passed in the United States. So if there was a possibility that he would fight for a passage of a law, I think this time he would be fighting for the passage of a law against anti-colonial. You know, something of that nature. I just think that's where it would be. But is there any more questions? Those are only questions that I did see online. Somebody comment. Thank you once again online. Appreciate you. And y'all look like you're having a good time today online.
He would support the RNDP.
He would support the Revolutionary National
Yes.
Democratic Program. Yeah. Of InPDUM.
Yep.
And if you could just state again what you were reading from for our.
So this is a file. It's coming from the Stanford University website, but it is the letters. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact one to give you, so criticize myself on that. But just do that keyword search, and you can find that at any time. I just happen to do it. Matter of fact, just keyword search and things. You can even look up King and Mboya, Tom Mboya. But the direct link, I don't have that. So, are there any other points, any other questions, any other discussions, topics that we didn't address about King?
We have a little short video. Could we play that? Lisa Davis sent about 2 minutes.
Oh, I didn't say sure. Let's see what she got.
Can you play that?
There are three evils in our nation. It's not only racism, but economic exploitation of poverty would be one, and then militarism. And I think in a sense, and in a very real sense, these three are tied inextricably together, and we aren't going to get rid of one without getting rid of the other.
When you stood on the Lincoln Memorial that day in August '63, and you said, "I had a dream," did that dream envision that you could see a war in Asia preventing the federal government doing for the Negroes, preventing the society doing for the Negroes that which you think had to be done?
No, I didn't envision that then. I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. And I think the realistic fact is that we still have a long, long way to go, and that we are involved in a war on Asian soil, which, if not checked and stopped, can poison the very soul of our nation. When a nation becomes obsessed with the guns of war, it loses its social perspective, and programs of social uplift suffer. It's much more difficult to really arouse a conscience during a time of war. There is something about a war like this that makes people insensitive. It dulls the conscience. It strengthens the forces of reaction, and it brings into being bitterness and hatred and violence, and it strengthened the military-industrial complex.
What did he say?
Yeah.
That sounds like anti-imperialism, don't it? I mean, it is, I'm just asking the question, to just know, that's what it was. And he was also showing the anti-class struggle position in terms of, the bourgeoisie up in that little clip. So that's pretty good. And in about, what was that, a minute, 48 seconds, you really got it. That he
Summed up today.
but he summed up himself. He summed up what he was about. So that was right on point. Uhuru. Yes.
I think y'all kind of alluded to this already. What got King assassinated was when he crossed over and was talking about the poverty. He started messing with people's money and telling people how they need to unite, and that it's not Black people's struggle, it's the poor people's struggle. And that didn't include white people. And King was 26 when he got positioned in this. So he was very young himself. So he definitely evolved and matured and saw life and that kind of thing, and became a universal human being, not an indoctrinated descendant of slaves, which has, challenged all our mental health. It takes a while, when you tell children that, and I'll tell you something that makes me laugh every time I come here, is the line in our Fight Back song that says, "When the oppressor is dead," don't watch me when we sing that part, okay? Because I crack up every time we sing that, because it's hard. It's the first thing about killing people, but at the same time, if you're gonna kill people, what's the choice?
There you go.
You see what I'm saying?
Keep it real.
Correct. I ain't gonna give you no meds while I'm taking care of you, but you come in the house, okay? See what happens. I'm ready for you. But yeah, this is clearly a king that had evolved. And even if you look at his face, it's a little puffy. He experienced some stress. And when they did their autopsy on King, his body was really destroyed on the inside because of all that he carried. So, thank you.
Uhuru. So I want to appreciate that in the discussion. We're going to now move the agenda. We're a little bit behind in our schedule, but we'll try to get everybody's family out here. So next on the agenda, we have a call to resources. Membership and call to resources. Power at both feet.
I can't say fist up this time.
Fist up! Fist up! One Africa!
One nation.
One nation!
One Africa.
Thank you. I can't say it because my fist is still up and I'm still pissed off. Okay. I am up here this time to tell each and every one of you how to get in the fight. And it's the fight for your liberation and my liberation and everybody else's liberation. We have a $100 goal today. And with that being said, if you got $100, I can sit down and just wait for the rest of it to fold, okay? But if you got, who has $50 that they want to give us? Who has $30 that they want to give us? It's really not giving us, it's $30 to your liberation. Who has $20 that you want to give us? All right. Online, you can give us whatever is laid upon your freedom at Cash App, InPDUM, $InPDUM, INPDUM, if you want to use Cash App. If you want to do your card online to the website, you go to InPDUM, that's INPDUM.org/donate. Okay, InPDUM/donate. .org/donate. And you know, you can always send us dollar bills and checks and money orders, okay? You can do that by going to the website and getting the InPDUM information. Where does the money go? We are very transparent. You are listening to where the money goes. You are watching where the money goes. The reports that you've heard is where the money goes. We want to get the money goes into us bringing education to us. Because, you know, we're going to tell you what's true with us in living color. Not what's been cut off on the edges and letters changed and words and opinions that are not ours. We're transparent. The money goes to keeping us warm in the wintertime and keeping us cool in the summertime, and lights and gas and electricity, and we have Wi-Fi. All right, all of that takes nickels, dimes, dollars, quarters, and $100 that we're asking for today. All right, when you see us not online, that's because you didn't help donate to help keep us online. Okay, your $10 didn't make it, and that was the $10 needed. All right, that's not a guilt trip. That's the truth, and that's what King would do, is tell you the truth. All right. Our goal, like I said, is $100. And I also want to tell you how you can get a fist or a dollar or a comment or a question or your opinion. Now, see, that's the one thing that everybody have, an opinion. All right. That's what gave me that genius idea to add extra pages to my book so people could write their opinions and makes it theirs. You can become a member of the International People Democratic Uhuru Movement by joining at the general membership level of $25 a year. From the date you sign up till the date that time next year, you are a full-fledged member with all privileges associated with any membership level. The Musa Abantu level of InPDUM membership is $10. And what that consists of is a 1-year membership for a student or a 1-year membership of someone that is not employed. That is for 1 year. $10 get you in with the same membership level as anybody else. And last but not least, now I take that back. It's not last but not least, because there are many levels. These are the ones that you can jump on right now. George Jackson, Desi Wood level of InPDUM is a $5 membership, and that is to our incarcerated brothers and sisters. If you know someone, or if you want to sponsor someone to get them the newspaper, The Burning Spear, Behind Bars, this is what it will take. And then they can be educated on what's happening out here. So when they do come out, they will be equipped and ready and they'll know who to contact so they won't go back. Okay? That's the three low memberships of becoming an MLK force. And that means you got a voice to fight back. Because one person can do a lot of mouth. Okay? Do a lot of mouth. But if you want to make a force, you get an organization with a lot of mouth. And that's a lot of power because you know what? We stand by what we say. With that meaning, become a member of International People Democratic Uhuru Movement and then watch it work for you. All right?
Yeah.
I'll come back later and let you know what we gained on our $100 goal.
Thank you, Comrade 4 Feet. I appreciate that. So right now, we're going to move into our agenda with the announcements that will be read to you by Comrade Sophia. You'll see them on the board and she will holler.
Hold on, well, somebody else gonna do this announcement? Stephanie or anybody? I'm not sure why. Uhuru, this announcement that everyone will see on screen and those in the room, it's the Black Power Blueprint presents the MLK Day event and volunteer fair. Our keynote speaker is gonna be our own Chairman Amalia Shatella. So I'm certain no one wants to miss that. But most importantly, what I want to say about this is that it's also a volunteer fair. It is the opportunity for anyone that is unfamiliar, has questions, want to know, what do y'all do inside that building? What goes on in there? We know Uhuru means freedom, but what do you do? We see the flagpole, we see the revitalization that's happening on West Florissant. What do you do? Well, what we want you to do is come out and find out for yourself. This is the opportunity for you to get involved, to be on the right side of history. Certainly with regard to everything that's happening in the world today, and certainly the north side of St. Louis, we know what a horrific year this has been. Certainly with the onset of the tornado that happened on May 16th. This is the opportunity again to come and find out what goes on in here, what you can do to be part of bringing life back to the north side, to fighting for your community, to bringing everything that is just and due back to the north side. So I encourage everyone that one is in this room. If you're not gonna be here, plan on being here. I think you might be, maybe you'll be sick tomorrow, just a little bit, and be able to, to get here. And if you're online, maybe you're sick tomorrow, and you'll have the opportunity to tune in online. You don't want to miss the presentation from our leadership, Chairman Amalia Shatella, as well as the board president, Onazane Shatella, and also the opportunity to find out how you can volunteer with the Uhuru movement. You don't have to be here in St. Louis. We love it for everyone that is in St. Louis to come in, sign up and volunteer, but you don't have to be. So this is a great opportunity to find out what we do, more of what we stand for, and how you can get involved. So please make sure you are here, and there says reserve your spot. I'm sure that probably should say tinyurl.com/STL MLK Day and sign up today. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. So if you are interested in volunteering, we want to make sure you come out for the MLK Day if you want to find out where you fit. And then, I'm sorry, you can go back to the next one, Padre Day. So AMWA is having their cadre development school. It'll be February 28th through April 4th. If you want to learn how to get involved and get the training that you need for this, then we ask that you come out, register for the cadre development school. It'll be a virtual program.
What is that?
I'm sorry. Okay, ANWO, I'm sorry. So ANWO is the African National Women's Organization. So we're calling on all women of African descent who are interested in the interests of African women. So whatever African women are interested in, we're asking you to be a part of the organization and then come out to our cadre school. It'll be from February 28th to April 4th. You can register by February 14th. So before Valentine's Day, on or before Valentine's Day, we ask that you register for the cadre school. It's $30 for members, free for lifetime members, and then $60 for non-members. So we ask that you go online and uhuru.org to sign up for that. I think it's an event that you won't want to miss, so you can get all of the education, learn how to be a revolutionary.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
So come on out to the cadre school, get that information there with the African National Women's Organization. The next up, we have This Time Till It's Won, Power is in Our Own Hands. This is the African People's Socialist Party plenary, which will be from Friday, April 17th through Sunday, April 19th of this year. And it'll be a meeting for all of the members of the different organizations affiliated with the Uhuru movement. We ask that you come out, we ask that you register and come and be a part of that here in St. Louis. Here on the ground here, we'll have events for the children. So if you have kids and you wonder, they'll have activities that they'll be involved in as well. And then there's also the different trainings and sessions available for all of the different members. You'll get an update on all of that's going on. And it speaks to this time until it's won, power in our own hands. So we're not giving up. They're not going to be able to shut us down this time around. So we're going to keep moving on. Okay, you had something else you want to say regarding this?
Oh, yeah, Uhuru again. And yeah, thank you so much. The plenary is real important. Many Africans don't know what a plenary is, and that's I too was the same, and so a plenary is a planning forum, just a planning meeting. Many times, it's just incredibly important for Africans yourselves to get together and to plan out what our work is moving forward and things like that. That's incredibly important. And so the party holds an annual a regular plenary. This time it's going to be in St. Louis, and it's going to be incredible. It's going to be over at the Center of Divine Love, I think.
Yes, Center for Design Love?
Yeah. It's going to be right here in St. Louis. And so please do register. If you're interested, talk to us, let us know. You can register at apsplenary.org. There'll be so many people from all around the country coming here, but it's also an international planning, forum and things like that. And so, this is just incredibly important.
Okay, so make sure you get online and register for the plenary, and so you can be up to date on what each of the organizations will be doing in the upcoming year. And so you can also have input into that information as well. The next up, we have getting your burning spear. We ask that you go to theburningspear.store or theburningspear.com/subscribe to get your subscriptions to the Burning Spear. If you don't know where to get accurate and good news from, get your Burning Spear so you can stay up to date with not just what's going on here in St. Louis, not what's going on here in the United States, but what's going on throughout the world as it relates to Black people, and not even just Black people though, because we talk about different perspectives of different things that are going on. So there is, just like any other newspaper, is one of the oldest newspapers that's available, or actually the oldest newspaper that's in continuous print. So we ask that you get your subscription subscription there if you don't want to be left out, or you kind of feel like you don't know what's going on in the world. Get your subscription to the Burning Spear. Again, that's the burningspear.store to get bundles. And if you want to, and with that, you can go out and make a little bit of a profit off of the papers as well, because you can get you a bundle and then sell those for $1. A lot of times, even if you're selling them for $1, if people appreciate the information in there, sometimes they feel like it's worth more than that.
Yeah.
So you can collect things there. But you can also get your subscription through the burningspear.com/subscribe, where you can get either a hard copy mailed to you, or you can get a virtual copy where you can read it online, or you can do both.
Uhuru. And if you have folks who are incarcerated or know someone who's incarcerated, you can sign them up to get the Burning Spear newspaper. It's the oldest Black revolutionary newspaper in publication. It's been in print since the late '60s. This is it serves as a lifeline for those who are behind enemy lines. I know that in the prisons, they pass around the Burning Spear newspaper until it's worn out. Until the pages are literally like disintegrated or something like that. That's how much they appreciate and love the Burning Spear newspaper. And so that you can go to theburningspear.com and fill out all the info for those that you want to read it for.
And touching on that, just like too, is if you sign them up for an InPDUM membership, they will also get a copy of that Burning Spear wherever they are as well. And we do need specific information to get them signed up as well. So next up, we have the InPDUM Studies, which is the Revolutionary Democratic National Program, the RNDP study. We ask that you sign up there if you want to learn more, but you want to learn in like a classroom type setting. It's an online setting. If you want to be able to ask questions and kind of get feedback with the information that you're looking for, you can sign up there. And that's you can register at tinyurl.com/RNDP studies. Or you can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/InPDUM. And there you can watch any of the previous episodes as well if you've missed certain things, because I know one, they had a really good one on knowing your rights, and they have a lawyer speaking there, so you can pull up some of the other ones that they've had. If you want to learn about African internationalism, there are different ones there that you can also pull up. So just if you want to know more about the organization in a study setting, that's a great one to attend. And our president here, Emmanuel Macron, he is over that study on a weekly basis. It says every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time online. So again, tinyurl.com/RNDP studies, or check us out on Facebook. And then next up, we have a call for help on building the Sunday rallies. That's this rally that you see here today. If you have any type of skills, or if you want to learn new skills, we ask that you help us to build these rallies and come out. And if you want to learn about AV, if you want to help organize the Karamu, where we bring together food for everybody to eat after our meetings, if you want to learn how to plan and organize meetings, different things like that. Just to gain experience is something you can put on your resume. It's something that you can just gain skills and start building up your confidence with. So those are the things that we're looking to build, because the more we grow, the more work we can get done here and wherever we are, as well as wherever you may be as well. And you don't have to be in St. Louis in order to volunteer. We have people who can do things online as far as the audio visual, because we have someone also in Chicago that helps with doing those type of things as well. So wherever you are, if you want to participate, you can always reach out to us. Now it is Karamu time. This week we are dealing with chili. We got crackers, chili, we got fruit. We got a nice spread back here. And thank you to everyone who signed up and brought and agreed to what they were bringing. Oh, but yeah. I brought everything I said I was going to bring. I was going to bring some additional stuff. But yes, thank you to everybody who brought everything that they said they were going to bring. And we hope that everybody enjoys, we get a chance to fellowship with one another. There is a tip jar that's back there to help with the paper and plasticware that we have each week. And then even for some of the main dish supplies sometimes. So we want to thank you all for coming out. Hope you enjoy. Next week, we will be dealing with pastas. You guys say we will have pasta. So if we can get volunteers for next week on, we'll probably still need water. We do have a drink. I can actually do the lemonade. We have lemonade back there with water. So lemonade, and then I'll do the garlic bread if we can get a vegan spaghetti or some type of pasta, maybe cheese and different things like that. So think about what you can bring and let me know. I'll be in the back where I'm always at. And we can get your list of what you plan on bringing. And then here's Fofi.
Thank you, Uhuru. You know, I really don't like to do like that. Remind me when I was a kid. I mean, younger. Our goal today was $100. I want to thank each and every nickel, dime, dollar, quarter, $20, whatever you put in. We got $104 today. Uhuru. 106. Yeah. So that's $2 extra. I want to say this too. InPDUM not only covers what we do here, but we're an international organization. And St. Louis InPDUM also contributes to our brothers and sisters in Africa. So you know what? When we win, everybody wins. So your dollar travels, but it stays in this community. All right, Uhuru.